Hey, when you see the world through my eyes, you getting critical views. I'm talking street politics and real political moves. See the reviews, exclusive fashion, hat to the shoes. Corporate businesses, the sports world, and
what
real
up, y'all,
interviews.
and welcome to Through My Eyes with Eyed Willie. I'm back with another episode, and this time I got my boy in the building, KP. Now a lot of y'all don't know who KP is. KP, my dude. I met him through work, and he's put in a lot of work that people don't know about. So I'm gonna have him tell his story, and we're gonna get into some more topics and just figure out what KP does, and what the future looks like for him. So, without me keep, talking, I'm gonna go ahead and let KP introduce himself, let everybody know where you're from, and just any background information you'd like to give.
All right, hey everybody, I'm KP. I was born and raised in East Nashville, Tennessee. I came up by East Nashville, some of the areas, and what I did was when I graduated high school, I went straight into the military, so I did my military time, and over the time, I came back home. I was out for a little while, and then I started working for Ron Mercer. Ron Mercer played ball in the NBA, and I was his assistant, so that was a good time I had for a few years doing that. Then I going back into the service, and then I end up in the service and was in active duty. Then I retired from that. Well, no, I didn't retire. Sorry, I ETS, and then I just went into the being in the military civilian. So as you know, this year I just finally retired as civilian. So I had a great time of it. Back to Tennessee from my area where I'm from. That's where I grew up at, and I love it. Got the family down there and everything, so I guess that's where my stomping grounds is. So that's a little bit about me. I've been stationed in Hawaii, Kansas, Texas, man, you name it. I was Aberdeen, Maryland. Oh, it was crazy out there. I got stuff. Last some areas I've been to at Aberdeen and different places, but yeah. So Fort Knox, of course, and Fort Bliss, Texas area. So. All right, that's a little bit of background of me and what's going on with me.
That's what's up. What you grew up in East Nashville, Tennessee. What was it like growing up down there in East Nashville?
Growing up in East Nashville was crazy because we grew up at one of the I went to Stratford High School, which was a high school, a mini in Nashville, but it was one of the schools where it had a predominant lot of hustle right there. So we grew up hustling, and we had some of the biggest hustles you name come out of there. Man, we had the Tony Corliss come out of there. We had the Richard Starr, we had the Jazz, you name it, man. These guys we looked up to. So I was growing up, and I played football into junior high. So in junior high, I was a running back, but I used to always look up to Joe Campbell. Had fraud, man. He was a super duper running back at Stratford, and we used to go watch him play. So we growed up admiring him and watching his game, and on the weekend they would give us tickets to go watch his game. So I always give him credit for me being the number one running back, fullback in junior high. We went undefeated. We went 2 years undefeated in junior high. Our junior high won 7th grade, and then we went 8th grade. Nobody could beat us, and that was probably the most football career I ended after that.
Oh, yeah. So was it an injury or anything that ended your career, or you just was like, man, I'm done playing football, I want to get into something different?
Now the hustling life came about. So as I was saying that, we was watching the football and all this, then we had the hustlers in there. We had the big time hustlers, and we would see these nice cars in the parking lot. Maybe had Cadillacs, Mercedes, Benz, trucks, and everything. So at that side, I got in my mind, like, I want to do that. So I get to high school, I'm like, man, I'm going to do this and kick it on with them and get into that. So I get over to high school, and I remember being in the 9th grade. I'm not knowing that the 9th grade, that in high school, okay, because back at going up to junior high, they would just pass you forward. So I was in the 9th grade. I didn't know you had to get credits. So I went through my 9th grade year. I'm playing football. And then I go to my 10th grade ready to play football again. They like, well, you don't have any credits. Like, dang. I didn't know. But I said, I didn't know we supposed to do that. So I had to go to some school, catch up back up. And then I got back in sport. But the hustling life was there. And I wanted to have the nice cars. And as a young guy, man, that was just the life. So I still hung around the football, did little stuff around it. but I wasn't really into it because I was like that life, being the hustle out East Nashville was big time.
Man, that's what's up right there, man. That's normally how I go. You see a lot of cats, they will start off with being in sports, then they start seeing people, getting to the money. And sometimes people jump into the lifestyle as well and get some of that money as well. Now, you talked about seeing some of those nice cars parked out there in the parking lot. When you got into your hustler days, what was your choice of car that you wanted to snatch up, and what car did you snatch up and pull up in?
Man, I tell you, I was a freshman, and my neighbor, let me tell you something, my neighbor had this motorcycle for sale across the street, and I didn't know how to ride a motorcycle to save my life. I didn't know anything about it, but I wanted to buy it. So when I went over there to tell him, hey, man, I wanted to look at the motorcycle, he raced motorcycles, so it was a 750 Suzuki. So I was like, I can drive it. And he like, you sure? And I was like, nah, yeah. But so when I figured, my thing was, I said, if I tell him I can't drive, he won't sell it to me. So I told him I could drive it. And I got on it, and I didn't know 1 up, 6 up. I didn't understand the motorcycle, but that was my first purchase. So I learned going up and down the street how to drive it. So I bought a motorcycle. Then the second purchase, man, I was a freshman. I got a Nova. I had a blue Nova, just nice Nova, man, and that got me back and forth. And one thing about it, being so young, they would look up to you. They were like, these young cats got cars. So I had a car. I had a Nova and the freshman, and I had a motorcycle, the 750 Suzuki. And that was my thing, just driving those around. Later on, got Cadillacs and stuff in school, but it was a process.
Yeah. Now, the neighborhood that you grew up in, you grew up in the same neighborhood as Ron Mercer's dad on his pop side, right? But Ron Mercer would come over in the summer, hang out. How did you end up meeting Ron Mercer? What was Ron Mercer like as a youth growing up in Nashville?
Okay, so how me and Ron first met, I was in elementary school, and Ron was a kid too. Back in the day, we used to ride the bus to school, and the bus used to drop us off at the areas where we were going to on the way home. So on the way home, I would get off at Ron's dad's house because I was dating a girl that lived in back of them. So I used to go by there. So I would tell them I was going over there. So the bus driver would not let you off unless you knew somebody. They would come out and say, MC, so I would go by and see Ron. And back then he was quiet. He was just a quiet guy, just shy, sit in the house. I seen him, we talk. And then I went back to visit my girlfriend. Fast forward. And then as we growed up later on, Ron went to high school, started playing ball, and back then he was a kid, but he grew up, went to Kentucky. And at that time, I had family in Kentucky, and I used to go visit him and watch him play at Kentucky and just sleep on the floor up there, man. They got to look around at the lodge and see the different areas of Kentucky. So he invited me up there. We hung out, and that's what we did. And then later on, when he made the NBA, he was like, "You want to be an assistant here? Yeah, there's no brainer. I'm doing it." Right. So then he let me be, and I was blessed to be picked because he could have picked all kind of people, but he picked me to be assistant, and there he was, and we went on and we made history.
Something about picking somebody from home who you knew to be an assistant probably was a good thing. He knew you from home. He could trust you. And so it was just like a match made in heaven. So that's dope that you had that opportunity to become his assistant. Now, talk about some of those days when he was in high school, going out there to the games and seeing him play. Did you have any inkling in your mind that Ron Mercer would go off to be who he was, play for UK, and get drafted into the NBA?
Man, what's so crazy is back then I had no information because, like I said, we were young. We was doing our thing. We thought we was the football players or whatever. And he was in a younger class. So they was coming up and they was doing anything. Then I left. So basically in 93, I left out and went to the military. And that's when all hell broke out. And that's when he went to start blowing up. And then he went to Good Pasture, and it was at Good Pasture that he was doing his thing. Then he went out to Virginia to play ball out there and the Hill. Now, when he got over there, Oak Hill, I mean, he was a monster over there, just a beast in there, beast. So when he got back to Kentucky, I would go visit, but at the time, I didn't realize how big that was until when I go up to Lexington, back in the 90s, and we going to the mall. And we with the guys, and all of a sudden this crowd come up and they running on. I'm like, what is this? This is crazy. And we had to go out the back of the mile. So, oh, this is big. So I really didn't realize how big it was until that. And I didn't understand Kentucky. I just knew Kentucky, but growing up, I was like, wow, now I understand the history and the fame of Kentucky. And the guys I got to meet all his friends and other guys up there that played with that 96 national championship team. And them guys were great, but it was a blessing to see that and to see it coming up.
So during when he was playing in 96 for UK, that was up under Rick Pitino, right?
That was Rick Pitino. So that was my thing, man. I get up there and I didn't realize they had this lodge. So on Kentucky campus, everybody, all the players, they stay over here, whatever. But the Kentucky player lived in a lodge, and it was on Pitino. Pitino was very strict, man. He knew everything. He's a genius to this day. You know, you look back, he knows everything. But he was real strict on it. He would go in there and play. Man, he had names like Tony Dale, Walter McCard, and Derek Anderson, D.A. Man, come on, man. You just name it off the team, man. Those guys was like just the epitome of a super team. And Antoine Walker, Wayne Turner Wayne Turner came in with him at the time, and they was up there. But seeing that and going to the lodge and realize this is more than basketball was a great thing. And for him to go out there and play, I was like amazed. I was like, dude, these guys are the best of the best. And Kentucky was the premier at the time. And it was a great time. Pitino was great. He looked out for his player. He basically knew what was going on. So I got to meet him there. And even when Pitino went to the pros, to Boston, we get up there, Pitino's a coach. So running to him again.
Yeah, Pitino's definitely one of the GOATs when it comes to basketball. He did his thing at UK. He did his thing at U of L. He did his thing over at Iona. And, he's holding it down up there at St. John's as well. Is it St. John's or what is it?
It's St. John's.
St. John's?
Yeah,
okay, yeah. So he's holding it down up there as well. Now, let's take it back for a quick second, because the reason why this comes up is because just recently they closed down all of the trade schools. So for you went to our trade schools or Job Corps. So at a point in your life, you also went through the Job Corps route. Talk about going to Job Corps and what that experience was like for you when you was out there at Job Corps.
And I tell you, Job Corps was different, man. When I got into Job Corps, I didn't understand. I didn't know what it's about, but I was out of Nashville. I went down and talked to a recruiter downtown, and she told me about this Job Corps program. I'm like, I go to it or whatever. So I get down to Turnham, and I remember getting there on the campus, and it's crazy because it's a bunch of kids, and it's ran by the faculty. But down there, you basically got trades. You got people getting their GEDs. You got people getting their high school diplomas. You got people learning trades. You got people learning going to college. And I was like, man, this is different. It's basically like a campus where you can learn your trade and grow. And it's great for kids. And I hate this. I was looking at it, I was like, man, that's closing down. They had Turner on there because I met so many good friends down there. You graduated. I went to Turner. I graduated, got my certificate in administration, and I left there and went to Kansas City to another job board, Sesame Springs. So I got to go to advanced. So what you do is once you complete that first phase, you go to advanced, and then you continue on at advanced, and then they place you in the. So it's a great program. Program I hate that's going to be missed because you got a lot of people in there had nowhere to go. So I know when they closed it down, it was sad because I remember seeing people with homeless and kids that didn't have any parents or growing up, and I got to see, the rough side of people that just did not have what you had. And there was a second chance. And a lot of them would sit there, from the course, and a lot of them were like, hey, this is your second chance to get it right. And they was doing that. So that's going to be big, losing that, man. That was a big, big part of second chance for kids to come out. And a lot of kids, I got some friends now that graduated. Now they doing great. They working in business, so in a police force, some are doing different organization. Doctor, I remember one that's a doctor now. So a lot of people turned their life around and came out there and was great. So I had a great time with that. I love Job Corps.
Now, Job Corps, you at Job Corps, is it a mixture of people just from the same area, or is it people that just come to Job Corps from all parts of the country?
So listen, so when I get to Job Corps, I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, right? So I get there and basically they put you in the rooms of housing here. So you got mixed from all over. You got Florida guys from Florida, the Florida boys, the Florida girl, they all in the crib from down South Florida. You got the group from Mississippi, that's there from Mississippi. You got the ones from Georgia, that's there from Georgia. And you got the ones from Alabama. So you got these groups, and then you got the Islanders there. So they all clicked up in these groups, and I get there, and I'm from Nashville. They're like, who the hell from there? I'm the only one from Nashville. So I didn't really have a clique, so I just hung out with maybe like the Florida boy and the different groups. But I learned a lot of different groups there because it was from all over the country. You know, the guys from Miami, they had their own way of life. You know, the D.C. cats that came through, but they ran in groups. But yeah, you ran into a melting pot in Chattanooga. So one time I had some friends came down from Chattanooga and we clicked up and hung out. So we got together. But yeah, they come from all over. You get a job. But then when I got to Kansas City, they all from Nebraska, they from Kansas, and even the ones, they were separated from the different areas that they came from in Kansas City. But yeah, you meet people from all over walks of life.
Right. Now, so in this there, so it's males and female there too, right?
It's males and females, both of them. Now, they got some that have all female. They got one, because, yeah, we used to go to dances, so they would take us, the guys, like once a month, they would take us to a dance in Atlanta, and they had Atlanta Job Corps with all women there, so they would take us out, they would go out there dance, say, hey, guy, and then we'll go back. But the one I was at was a mixture. It was a big one. You got Earl C. Clement, probably one of the biggest one. They had, most of them a mixture of male and female at the Job Corps.
Man, that's what's up. So you pretty much, when you go to those Job Corps, you got people from all of these different areas. So they're bringing their lifestyle to Job Corps, different lifestyles. You bring in the Nashville, vibe. They bring in, the Miami and the Atlanta vibes and everything else. How did you get around out there? Was it easy for you to meet people? And I don't want to say which card, but which clique did you end up clicking up with?
Okay, so basically I get along with probably anybody and everybody because I'm a people person. So when I get down there, like I say, I get down there and I'm looking for the Nashville. But at the time back then in the 90s, Nashville was small and it was country. So I was a country boy. They like, what's up, country boy and all this. So I get down there and I remember I first get there and a lot of stuff going on the Job Corps. They put me in a room. And I get in the guy just, they put me in the room, and I remember I hanging up my stuff or whatever, and I had a shirt on, and this guy wrote on my shirt, man. I was like, what the hell is this, man? He wrote on my shirt, and he was, actually, I didn't know at the time, I'm from Nashville, mind you, so we didn't have any gangs or whatever, so I wasn't familiar with all this or that. We just basically had our hoods or whatever we ran with. And so I guess again, he didn't like one of my shirts. So, of course, we got into it, and we got into altercation because of that. And I ended up beating the guy down or whatever, and I had to. And basically because of that, I got in trouble with the whole group of them. So when I found out who he ran with, it was like, oh, snap. Okay, so then another group was like, hey, man, we heard what happened over there. We're going to run with. So I got with them. So basically, in the job, we clicked up and ran with this organization, and that organization was over there. And I had a good time, man. I was a hustler. That's what I did. I would just hustle cigarettes, blacks, blunts, whatever need to be hustled, whatever. And I would make money because in Job Corps, a lot of people don't know, they pay you once a month on the first. They give us like a check of $30, whatever. So I was just selling cakes and pies or whatever. And I got in good with the organizations, and that was basically what I did. And I had a great time down there, and it was love. They treated me well. I didn't have too many issues.
That's what's up right there, man. Yeah, being a hustler, you kind of going mingle in between all groups because you trying to get to the money and they focus on something else. So I can understand that. That's a good place to be in. Like, hey, I'm cool with everybody. So whatever y'all got going on. But hey, I got the cakes, I got the pies, the blacks, the blunts, and anything else that you need. So I had a couple of people who I knew who went to Job Corps as well. But then when I was down in Bowling Green, living in Bowling Green, I would see some cats that would come through and they would come get a hotel for the weekend because they would be on like a pass. How did that pass system work? And was it, and how was you granted the opportunity to get the pass to leave off the campus for the weekend?
Man, the pass was big. So basically, when I got to Job Corps, you got in your room, you got your put to your room, you got set up and everything. So on the weekends, you did your stuff right, you did everything good. They would go in, you apply for a pass. And when you get the pass we would have a bus. We call it Pops. Pops was a bus driver. Basically, you would get the pass, and then you would go down to the little loading area where the bus picks up, and the pass will be for the weekend. So they give you a pass for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And everybody, like you say, that was crazy. We all stayed in the same hotel. We would go to this raggedy, ran down, hole-in-the-wall hotel, and we would all stay there. So you put your money together, and y'all put your room together. Now, hold on now. When I started hustling, get a little piece of money, I would go to the upscale hotel, and I would have a party over there. The people want to come up there. But in the first, though, we in the hole-in-the-wall. So Pops would take us down there. And then, like I said, your cliques would hang out. So our clique would be in these rooms over here. We've been in these 4 or 5 rooms. And the other cliques would be in those rooms over there. And you just stay with your clique. And you hung out all weekend. They would pick us up. And then Sunday, they would come back and get us and take us back. And it was fun time. We had, we were drinking, just hang out at the pass. But that was one thing that did happen. We would go every weekend when we had a pass. Now, if you messed up, and you weren't able to get a pass, sometimes you didn't get to get a pass, you didn't get to go. So you have to stay on base and just deal with the consequences if you weren't able to get off. But them was great times, man. We had plenty of times at the hotel. We tore the hotels up, man. We would throw the refrigerator. I mean, we just did so much, man. That was times. Man, we just tore it up. And it was a regular hotel, so they didn't care. They let us come. And I think it was cheap, too. I don't think we paid a lot of money for those hotels. Whatever. Then we bought cheap drinks, and we would drink for cheap, like cheap. Also, E&J, something to drink, throw up, and pass out, and then wake up. But it was a great time on that. And we see everybody coming back on Monday. Well, Sunday night or Sunday afternoon. We would all show back up at the bus stop, and Pops would pick us up, man, and take us back.
Now, through our conversations and just speaking and talking, whenever we had the opportunity to talk doing work, you also was clicked up with some cats who was from Cali, so you had the opportunity to go out there to California. What was it like being from Nashville, going out there to California and seeing that lifestyle?
Man, what was crazy was I had a homeboy that like I say, when I got down there, I got into it with a guy then. I was into the whole group, so I had a buddy, Rigo. He was from Compton, California, Cabernet Park. I still remember that. And he was the one that came over, and he was like, "You running with me?" And I'm like, "Okay, I run with this crew." And man, this guy here, man, just stayed in the gym, worked out, whatever. And it was cool. He was just, he was a good guy. So basically, we clicked up, we linked up, and we got so good of friends that he was like, "Man, I'll come to Nashville." So I brought Rico to Nashville. He said, "Okay, man, I like this, whatever." Then he took me like, "Man, when you don't fly to Cali." So one vacation day, we flew out to Compton and Cabernet Park, and I was like, "Oh, this is different out here. I'd never seen nothing like that out country." So I didn't talk much. Everybody like, "What the fuck this country plug? Where you talk?" Man, I just had the accent, so they would know. So I got out there in the Cali area, just got to see how he live, and I was like, "Man, this is different way of life, whatever." But we ended up being great friends. We hung out, we looked out for each other, we ran with our crew, and that was a great time to see another side. Going out west. Far out west at the time in the 90s was crazy. So I got to enjoy myself out there.
That's what's up. Now, fast forward, you get out of Job Corps. What did you do? Is that when you jumped into the military, or is that when you started working, coming up the UK and running with Ron?
When I get out of Job Corps, basically I go back home, I'm doing a run around, whatever, and then I'm toting to Ron and visit him at Kentucky, and then we back home. So back home, I'm basically just hanging out, working in Nashville, and visiting him. And we going up to Kentucky, we visiting, we hanging out, learning in Kentucky. And then all of a sudden, then he finally, we didn't know he was going to get drafted. One day, Patino called him in and was like, "Hey, you going to the league, and this is what it is," and that's what he said. So he went to the league, and then it was crazy, man. We were like, "Well, we're going to go visit." So I get to go visit. Bam. I take off, and he playing against Michael Jordan. They playing against the Chicago Bulls first game of the league. Just imagine that. So we at the game, we watching the game, and this is Michael Jordan. I'm watching all them, Scottie Pippen, watching Denver, all these out there, and they were playing them, and they actually win. And so he had to play against Michael Jordan. I was like, damn, this first game of the season, you're going against Michael Jordan. That's amazing. And they beat him. And Michael Jordan had held a grudge about that the whole time. But they won. And we went home, man. We were so hyped and having a good time and talking. And we get back to the house and we just having a good time. And like I said later on, he's like, man, hey, man, you enjoyed it. You think you was like Bill? I said, man, damn right. I love to be an assistant. I love to do this and that. And we like, okay. You get back up here. I'm like, all right, I'll be back. I went back to Nashville, got my stuff. I was back on dinner. I'm up in Boston and we ready to go.
Now, so let's back it up a little bit. So Ron gets drafted. He got drafted to the Boston Celtics, or did he go somewhere else first and then get traded?
No, this is what happened. So Pitino calls me into the office and he like, hey, Ron, you know, second year, you're going to go to the league. Ron, I didn't know, you know, because he was ready to come back. So he think he's going to come back. Well, unbeknownst to Ron at the time, Pitino had already signed with the Celtics and was taking over Celtics. So at the time they had Antoine Watt was already at the team up there. They was going or whatever. So Pitino didn't let him know that, but Pitino signs with the Celtics, and then he goes up and he picked him and Chauncey Billups first round. So it was like, okay, I'm gonna go with Pitino. So now he's up there with Pitino, and then that's where they kept going. And we got up there, and then they just played for Pitino. So that's Ron's first team. So he got drafted. And he played with later on. He played with other teams, but that was the first team he was drafted to. And then it was good because Twan was there. Man, I remember Twan would come back and pick him up on Saturdays, and we would ride around town, just look at the town and just see the sights and everything. But he broke us in and got us situated and told us how this NBA life was about.
Mm-hmm. So as an assistant for somebody who plays in the NBA, what was your role and what did you have to do working with Ron?
So in the NBA, a lot of people don't know, every NBA player has an assistant, and that's what I found out. So like, you know, Chauncey Billups, everybody have an assistant, and the assistant role is to make sure that player is able to be at the games and be at the practice, just have less word. So basically, you would just make sure the family flies in, get the people here and there, make sure the food is there, the food prep, make sure the pets are going to the event, make sure the cars are getting in the shop. Everything that will make it easier for the player to concentrate on basketball, because they got they got 82 games, so they got to be at these games, and they need somebody to make sure that everything is functioning, because let me tell you what, man, they got family coming in every week. So you have to make sure you got the tickets ready. You got to make sure the flights are good, the people are picked up, and everybody where they're supposed to be. And it's got to work as a mesh. And if you're not able to mesh with them, and then you have to know what they need and what they want when it's coming up. Because if you don't know or you don't have an idea, then it's going to cause a problem. It's going to cause a hiccup, and that's going to be a problem. So basically, you need to see what they're going to need on a daily and make sure you make it happen and make it easier for them. And then, of course, you get the perks of being at the NBA games and meeting all the famous people. So you get a lot of perks. So you just got to make sure you make that happen and enjoy. But remember, you got to still make sure this stuff happens to make sure the player's life is easy.
Now, if you could remember, what were some of those things that Ron wanted to make sure that he have before he went out, before he did anything? What's some of those things that he was interested in?
Man, let me tell you about Ron. Ron was a real smart dude, a brilliant dude, and basically he already knew. So it was pretty easy for me because he knew, he just was so smart on anything. He would say, if we're going to the club, I would know that, hey, we need to have our clothes out here ready. And let me tell you, time, too. One thing about it, you had to keep everybody on time, because if he said we leaving at 7, if at 7 o'clock we leaving, and we leaving you. So we done left a lot of people. Matter of fact, I got left in Chicago one time. I woke up, they would go. I woke up like, where everybody at? So you wouldn't get left. So I had to make sure they was on time, make sure, you know, like I said, the food, because they had the meal prep. So you had to make sure the cook would have the meal preps in there, the correct food to eat or whatever. But basically make sure that just ready to go and on time.
Right.
Because you was not late, and that's one thing, but it never been late and never was ever going to be late, and you would be left if you wasn't on time. And if you didn't get that, then you just had to get out the crew. We just couldn't roll with you if you wasn't time managed.
Right, yeah, time management is definitely important because those guys, they got a lot going on, so they got to make sure that they are, at practice on time, making the plane on time, because hey, that could cost the team, a game or so. Has there ever been any instances to where Ron was late, not on time, wasn't able to make it?
Never. He was always the constant estimate of being on time. He was never late. Even when we had an interview, a lot of times some athlete might be late. He was never late for an interview. He was never late for appointment. And I got that. And see, me having a military mind, I was okay. I was on time too. Like if at 7:00 if you're supposed to be there, I was there at 6:45. You late at 7, and that was his mentality. So he was great about that. Never one was out of place, and never made anybody wait. And they appreciated that too, because a lot of times. Sometimes people get money and they get this prima donna and they this and that, and it's hard to deal with. But no, never had an issue. All right, when we were all be there, he was supposed to be the best gentleman as far as that, man, on time.
Yeah, that's what's up right there, man. You was holding it down, making sure that he got to the places that he needed to get. Now, you said you got a lot of this because you did some time in the military. When you joined the military, what was your MOS? And MOS, you can explain what MOS means because some people may not know, but explain what MOS means and what was yours when you joined the military.
Mine was a 63 whiskey. I was a light wheel mechanic. And basically what you do is you're supposed to work on the vehicles and fix vehicles and Humvees and stuff like that. But also tank engines. I did do at Fort Riley, Kansas, I remember a time. I did work on the Abrams engine, and when I got there, the Abrams engine is huge. It's an engine that they run inside of planes as well. Mm-hmm. But that engine is huge, so I would break that down from top to the bottom and basically put it back together. So a mechanic being in the military was my job, and that's what I did. I liked doing that, but as far as working on regular vehicles, I just couldn't get the hang of it. I just never got the hold of that, and I just really didn't do a lot of that. But breaking down those tank engines, I did that. So now I just pump gas now, basically. I don't even change oil. I just pump the gas and try to stay with that. But as far as anything out of that, I got to take to the shop. What y'all know about this here? That's not me.
No, real talk. I'm not gonna get up under the hood and fix some nickel in there.
That's I watch them. I was like, God damn, y'all boy, they getting it. Y'all, they knew, and that's one thing about the military. You have some friends that just love that lifestyle, and they would hop in there. Matter of fact, we have female mechanics, and I remember that they would jump in there and pull the transmission out, and I'd be like, whoa, that is nice. How you did it too? So. Like I said, I had a bunch of stories, and I was a joke starter unit, so they would like me to sit back and just tell jokes while they worked on a vehicle and keep them going. So that's what I did. So I would just pull me a chair up, and I would just tell jokes and stories of how I growed up, and they were like, okay, we'll do the work. Man, that was your way. I'm like, that's nice. They ran like that. It's amazing. I just never understood how it worked, and I was not doing it. So
that's what's up right there. Now, you did you named it in the beginning that you hit a lot of different bases up while you were in the military. Which base did you like more, that you had more fun at?
One thing about it, like I say, me, I can adjust, adapt, and adjust anywhere. And I'm gonna make it happen. I would say Fort Riley, Kansas. I remember when I went out to Kansas and I got down the highway and I seen a big old brown bill, look like a Prius or whatever. And I was sitting on the highway and I was like, man, I could just cry looking at this going in. I was like, this is going to be hell. For Riley, Kansas, like in the middle of Kansas. So I get there and man, I got with my little crew, put my little crew together and we hung out and we had a great time. I enjoyed it. Hawaii was my best, dude. I love Hawaii. It's beautiful. It's 70 degree. Wear flip-flops every day. All year. Flop. Nobody wears shoes, and nobody's on time in Hawaii. So Hawaii, and that's at the beach. Every day you get off work, you can go to the beach. That was my best duty station. I love Hawaii. It was great. Everything fine till they had an earthquake, and I got to go because I don't know where you can run to. Cause on the island, if they have an earthquake, I just felt like They're like, I'm gonna fall under the ground, and it was nowhere to run. So I had to God damn. But I love Hawaii.
Yeah, that's what's up. Hawaii sounds amazing. I haven't been yet. I might have to go check Hawaii out though. That's what's up.
Check it out. Great place.
That's what's up. Now, in your stint while you was in the military, did you ever have to deploy and go overseas and fight in one of the nation's conflicts?
Well, later I didn't have to go out to later on, but one time we did at Fort Head in Texas. We went to Somalia, and that was early on, and that was basically my unit deploying over there. We went over to Somalia. We did some little missions over there, but that basically was about the end of. I didn't. The next one, I was always real D back in the back. They were like, okay, well, we ready to go to war. And they were like, all right, okay, but you stay back and watch the house. And I was like, okay, cool. So I was never, and they were all like, okay, and then I remember when we get ready to go, they was like, you know, you can volunteer. I volunteer for a damn thing. If they told me I'm going to stay back here and watch this stuff back in the house, I won't watch stuff in the house. I never volunteered. So my name never got called. So I just didn't have to go after that. I was like, okay, cool. But early on, that was back in the 90s out of high school, you know, coming in. I didn't understand what was going on then, and that was crazy. Yeah. Other than that, I was always real D. Had Fort Riley and Hawaii and all these other, but now my units went. I don't know, for whatever reason, they just didn't take me.
That's what's up right there. You had the opportunity to still be in the military, still do your thing, what you needed to do. They just didn't call your name. So
I got everybody ready to go. I was like, here your bag is. I put your bag, pack your lunch, and give you your batteries, and let y'all go. I see you when you call. They calling back. Hey, how y'all doing? We miss y'all.
Right. Real talk. Now, again, you was working with Ron when he became a Celtic. Did he play some time with was it there when he played with Paul Pierce and in KG or anything like that?
Man, so basically when Paul Pierce got drafted, he came up, and on the draft day they were like, Paul Pierce. I was like, okay, Paul Pierce. He came up fresh out of LA. He's from LA, whatever. He came up, met him. We hung out, we went out to the club, so we got had a great time. Paul was, a great player. I didn't realize how good he was when he came up. But on the way out, before Toronto got traded, Paul did come up there, and they played together, and we got to hang out and have a good time. I met him. He had a assistant, Damani from L.A. that was a real cool cat, too, that we hung out with. But Paul was got to hang out with him. I got to meet a lot of players, and he's one of the ones that was great, and we had a good time.
Now, being in Boston, you got cats like Benzino. Benzino ran the Source magazine, big on the hip hop scene back in those times. Were you around for when Paul Pierce went to the club and he had that incident?
So basically, where it is at the NBA, a lot of times you really would have to check in. And checking in is something that is talked about now, and people talk about it. At the time when this was going on, you would get to Boston and you learn the lay of the land. And it was a player up there that played for the team, Dana Barrow. He's from Boston, so he knew the lay of the land or whatever. So at these cities, I will say this, and a lot of people have to understand it. When you get to these cities, you best meet with some people, let them know you're there. So at the time, Benzino had a group called Made Men. And Made Men was the ones that pretty much ran Boston. So it basically would go in and you would just say, hey, Made Men, hey, how you doing, Benzino? And how y'all, just let them know we there, because everywhere you go, they're there. So anywhere you go in these cities, they're there. That's why they always talk about check in with them, because they're going to be there. So basically what that situation was, I think with Paul, he came in and he's from where he's from. And as far as the checking in, I don't think he really took it he took it lightly. He really didn't think you need to check in. So that was one thing I think, because he was not wanting to check in, that he had issues. So basically where that came in. So yeah, we were going out to the club, whatever, one time, and Paul was going up the steps, and everybody thought at the time, maybe they were fighting or something happened, whatever. Later kind of found out some guys that stabbed him or whatever. And it's all because, like I say, it was rules to the game, and he did check in. But that went on, and he recovered from it, and that was great. And that was a sad scene. And I wish it didn't happen, but that was a part of some of the stuff they talk about with the check-in. That's what happened with Paul here.
Yeah.
Bad situation.
That's a crazy situation to do that to somebody who's representing the city. He's here playing ball. He's doing his thing. And you want him to check in? Like to me, in my mind, you would want to get next to Paul, you know what I'm saying? Be cool with him just so you can kind of have your foot into that door, maybe get some courtside tickets or anything like that. But to go to that extent to stab somebody up for not checking in, that's just crazy. That's crazy.
It's unreal to me, and I didn't believe it, and I didn't think they would go that far. But I will say that in other cities, because Ron, I played in Chicago, Indiana, different areas, so we got to see other areas. Every area had a play where you would have to, let those guys know that you're there and make sure that you talk to some people, because it was just the way it was. And that was something that was understood that, hey, I'm here, and I'm not bigger than the program, I'm not bigger than the city. But yeah, that was, and I, like I said, I never thought that they would go that far. I never thought, okay, stabbing somebody, like, really? That was far.
Yeah, that's super far right there.
Man.
Now, when Ron played in Chicago, was Jordan still in the league during that time?
Jordan was still in the league at the time when he played in Chicago. He wasn't playing in Chicago. He was playing in what's that, DC at Bullets.
Okay, yeah.
They're playing for the Wizards, but matter of fact, Ron actually lived in an area where Michael Jordan house, and Michael Jordan house was like 4 or 5 houses over, so it was in the same area. So when he was playing in the league, Michael Jordan was still in the league. He wasn't playing in Chicago, but he would get together in Chicago and have little runs, and they would go play in the evenings and get together with Jordan in the summertime and play.
So they would go to Jordan's house and go out there.
On Jordan's house, yeah. And at the time, Jordan was real big with Antoine Walker. That was his boy. They was buddy. So that was where the link was at, where they would get together.
Yeah, so that link with having Ron playing with Antoine and just having that relationship and friendship, it was easy to bring him over there to the runs.
It was easy for us to maneuver through Chicago too with Antoine, because he basically introduced everybody to us and let us know, hey, we here in Chicago.
Oh, that's what's up right there. Now, going over to Jordan's house hooping, did you ever have the opportunity to go over there too, or was that something just for the players to go do?
Well, I got to go to a lot of different areas. I went there once or twice, but being around those players, I would be like a fly on the wall. And I remember sometimes just watching them, and then I would go to practices. So sometimes I go into practice. When he played with Denver one time, and I remember Nick Van Exel and those guys over there just getting it, and just watching Nick Van Exel play in Denver, and then watching some of the guys, Reggie Miller in Indiana, D Brown, when we got to the lead, D Brown, as soon as we got up there, and Never Nervous, Purvis. So you would meet again. The older guy would always school you. They owe you the base, and they treat you like family, and they bring you in and they show you love, and you get to see the NBA side of with these guys. They just treat you like that because you was family.
Right. So what's this dude one name? What's his name? Kwame Brown, who played for the Wizards, who's upset with Jordan and said they kind of treated him bad?
Yeah, that was a guy that Jordan drafted. Jordan ended up drafting him, and he was supposed to be the big-time player, number one, whatever, but he was a buff, and he did not make it. And Kwame just was not live up to the fact. Let me tell you about this here. A lot of times, players will come out, and I've seen it all the time, they would come out and be big-time college players, whatever. But the NBA is a different level, man. And a lot of times they would just be buzzed, or they just wouldn't be able to make it. And every year you fight for your position, and somebody's come to take your position. And Kreemo just didn't add up, and Jordan did gave him a hard time. And he sort of broke him. He probably broke his spirits and ride him real high, because his expectations is through the roof. If you're around Jordan, his expectations through the roof.
Right. Yeah, that's what's up right there, man. I remember seeing him come on there talking about how they treated him and just kind of crashing out on the internet a few years ago, man. So that's definitely interesting right there. Now, so let's switch over to WNBA for a quick second. Have you been watching the things that's been going on in the WNBA with Caitlin Clark, and, they saying that a lot of players are targeting her and, doing a lot of different things to her. Do you think that they are purposely doing that, or do you think that that's the media hyping up that situation because it's Caitlin?
I think it might be the media, a lot of that, because each player play, because if you look at other games, and I've watched other games, those women play hard, and they foul hard, they play hard. Sometimes I played with women in the NBA, you know, sometime before, and they will ill, but they just are rough, and I watch them. So they give it to each other, and they don't back down. So it's not just her. I think it's all the NBA, and the girls are so competitive, but they play harder than men, and they just are rough individuals if you look at the game and play against them and with them. So I don't think they're narrowing it down and picking on her. I think that a lot of the focus is on her because she's the greatest, but she's one of the best of the NBA. But they're going to get the same foul to other women in the NBA. They're going to treat them the same way, but it's not personal. They just play rougher. And Caitlin is just on the spotlight, and that's what it is with her.
Yeah, now RG3, he had a lot to say about Angel Reese, and you know her, you know how she is, and her not hating Caitlin Clark and all of these things. Did you hear about his comments? And how did you feel about what he was saying?
I heard his comments. I think he's off basis with that. I think he just, man, and what he picks and chooses to talk about, I don't really like the comments that do that. I think that Angel Reese is playing a game, want to do what she want to do, and she's just here. So she's not really focused on Caitlin. I think she's focused on getting her business together, whatever. And a lot of times, got to understand, on these NBA players, these WNBA players, they don't make as much NBA, so they had to have other incomes. So him picking her out was not, I don't think it's correct. I don't think she has anything against her. They just always bring it up. And that's one thing about the media. They will bring up and create a situation a lot of times I've seen with players, and it sometimes don't even be that. The player will hang out after that and have a good time. I've seen that in the league before. So RG3, I think he's out base, man. He's way out base.
Yeah, definitely off base with some of his comments, and it was glad that he got some of the responses that he did.
Yeah,
because it's just like, man, you just trying to,
you're pushing.
Yeah, you pushing, and that's exactly what you were definitely doing. So yeah, he's kind of, that was corny, him doing that.
It was terrible.
Yeah, that was definitely terrible. Now, let's talk about music, because when we would be at work, that's one thing that we would always debate about. You would come in and you say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And during this time, it was when Kendrick Lamar and Drake was going at it, and Kendrick had dropped his diss. Did you like the diss record? Did it grow on you?
No.
You know, anything like that? How you feel?
No, I think Kendrick went too far. Now, if you're going to diss, and that's what I think about it, you can diss, but when you're bringing in those innuendos and that this and that, you're taking it too far. That pedophile, well, that's you can't say in there unless it's proven, and let the laws deal with that. The cops will deal with that if they want to, but you can't say that. He should never been playing at the Super Bowl. It was a travesty. It was a Wayne. And I tell you this here because if I watch, and I told you back and forth about this, but I watched the BET Awards, and Lil Wayne came out there, and of course, he always forget what he gonna say, but he said it. He sang them songs, and he sung them to let you know I can't get, because he did it at the BET, and he did a great show. You cannot go to New Orleans and not have a New Orleans rally. And it only had to be, it could have been Master P, could have been about it, but Kendrick Lamar was not the one to be there. That was political, that was terrible. And then two, Kendrick Lamar don't even go in his bag and grab the greatest hits. He grabbed only the ones off the imprint of his group, and it was terrible. So, and then, like I say, man, I don't go to a football, Super Bowl or NBA to do algebra test or trigonometry. And he won't do his trigonometry. Let me tell you what. And that's when you had all these stupid people come up to my, oh, you didn't get the message. You stupid. You was stupid before that. Like y'all was stupid before that, and now you got this message. I didn't get the message. I don't want to get the message. I don't want to do trigonometry in the fourth, because I learned the fourth method in junior high. I still don't know how to do it, but I remember the fourth method you had to do. It was a 4. It was F-O, but I don't know. But let me tell you something. I learned that in there, and I hated it. So Kendrick Lamar did give a test and an exam. I had to be damn, but he didn't play the right songs, because I did go back and he got some monster hits. And you know this. I looked at it. I was like, he did have some monster hits that he could have went and just laid out, and it would have been a different one, and everybody would have been saying it, but he played stuff we didn't know.
Man,
so
you know, my whole thing was, I always felt like Kendrick was deserving of being able to play at the Super Bowl. I think that the performance was dope. I think that the performance probably did go over a few people's heads. But like you said, I could understand you want to vibe. You know what I'm saying? Why you watching the NBA? You don't want, I mean, not NBA, but the NFL, the Super Bowl championship. You want to vibe, you want to have a good time and not necessarily make it so political. Now, one thing that we say is the player who plays at the Super Bowl, it doesn't have to be from the city where it's held at.
No.
So you felt like Lil Wayne should be there. And I always felt like Lil Wayne, or not necessarily Lil Wayne, but I thought Kendrick Lamar would pay homage to New Orleans. But do you think that did not happen because of the backlash that he received from Wayne and some of those other individuals?
Well, it's his own artist that he could have picked up. Master P was out, so he could have said Master P come out and brought him out, did a little Master P, little John, or whatever. Big Frida, she down there rocking. Bring Big Frida out. You have a little set with Big Frida. Somebody else, it don't have to necessarily boost it. Have just one song, not too much, or some of the other vibe, or the New Orleans vibe. But my thing is, if I'm in Atlanta, I know the artists down there, I'm going to have to go with Atlanta. I can't bring in Miami. You know who you need to go to Miami. If you're in New York, I respect that. Because if I'm in New York, you got Jay-Z. It got to be one of them out there. It didn't have to be Lil Wayne. It could have been Nigga Man. It could have been that whole group of that whole, that group could have came out. Some group that is attached to New Orleans. Kevin Gates or whatever. I mean, not saying that they had to, you could have reached out to other artists, but you just like, nah, I'm taking it and running. But when you go to LA, we know we're going to see Dr. Dre and them in there. We see them out there. You wasn't going to have nobody else but Dre. You're not bringing in Luke Skywalker to do that. Louis, if you're in Miami, maybe.
Yeah.
Man, just show respect, man, and where you at, man.
That's what's up. Now, Kendrick, he went on and he dropped the GNX album, and he's currently on tour. Now, he recently did a stop in Toronto. Did you hear about his stop in Toronto? And what's your thoughts on that? Because he did back-to-back shows and they were sold out.
I think it's a good thing. I mean, they love him up there, and it was about that. And he made it about that because if you go back, Drake did not say anything. And I look back to see what started. He went at Drake, and he's a big three, big guy, you're in charge. He did that, so he should better go to Canada. They loved him before that. And he still got fans over there. And Drake don't, I think Drake been passive about this. He hasn't been jumping on it too much. I don't know if he really want to do this. The ones that Drake did want to go at, he did go at them, and it was. But this one right here, man, I think it's room enough for both of them to survive and to make it out there. And I think he should be able to go to Canada and do his shows.
Yeah, definitely.
Stop it.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Just like I think that Drake should be able to go to LA and do shows, and people gonna sell out, and he'll sell out, and people come to his shows as well. Now, since this has happened, Drake decided that he also wanted to sue. What's your thoughts on suing? Because a lot of people looked at it like, oh, you suing because of the diss record, or do you think it was bigger than the diss record?
I think his portion was bigger than the diss record. It's calling me these names, and that's what he wanted to not say at the thing. You could not call it, and that's just where I'm from. Where I'm from, man, I can't throw allegations on somebody that I don't have 100%. And then, two, it's not my business. My folks wouldn't allow for, stand for. First of all, can't say nothing. I can't say this guy did this and did that, and I don't know that. And them a huge allegation. So, yeah, I can see where you can sue, but you like, hey, don't say that. Do your little this. Do your little this. Man, I'm cool with it. All right, okay, we not like okay, cool. But when you start saying those specifics, that's terrible. And then I would never want, because I want nobody to do it against us and my crew, and then I want to do it against their crew. And where I'm from was a rule where you weren't allowed to do that. You're just not allowed to say that about somebody else. And my friend, hey, did you say that? You sure you stand on that? All right. There's rules to that.
Yeah, definitely rules to it, man. So that's crazy, man. But I'm anticipating Drake to drop something here soon. So what do you think that is going, when Drake drops, what do you think that is going, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think he's still going to get that notoriety that he has always got, or do you think it will be it's a little bit too late for him.
Yeah, he will. He get the notoriety. He still got a fan base. He still got his group, and all he keep it classy too. And not the same way with Drake. He can't come out and make no accusation about somebody else either, because if you did that, then you just is wrong too. So other than that, he got a the fan base is deep. Drake got one of the toughest fan base, OBO or whatever, they do their thing. He can make some hits, and then he go hard. He's one of the best battle rappers out there when you look at his work that he did, you know. And like I say, this one might have caught him off guard. I don't know. He just never really got back into it. But when he do get into it, it would be a great thing, and keep it classy.
Yeah, definitely, man. Keep it classy. Get back to doing the music that you normally do, and I think he'll be fine. Drake still has that fan base. He still has that following, so he gonna be cool. Now, recently, Lil Wayne's son has stepped out, and he said that there would not be Drake if it wasn't for his dad, because his dad wrote a lot of those records. As a fan of music, do you care if somebody's writing records for something?
Or Rat said who write what, all that go right and all that, man. Who said it? When you say it and you mean it, I love it. I give a damn if you said it down and they wrote it. I said, Kelly's who says what? That's never been me. All that trying to figure out who wrote what. Man, who wrote Easy? Easy he didn't write, but Ice Cube wrote it. I don't care what that Easy said that. Cruising down the street in my city, that is easy. I like it. I don't care who wrote what, man. That's not is it hot? Man, that's a hot track on the album. I love that.
Now, at one point in time, your daughter was doing music.
She was.
Talk about how she got into music, and the music and the type of music that she pushed out when she was doing her thing.
Man, so my daughter was telling me that she want to do music. I was like, oh yeah, you talking this bunch of crap, because everybody always said they're gonna be a music industry and they're gonna do this, and I was like, man, it is just terrible. It's gonna be terrible, whatever. Then before I listen to it, one day I just say, let me listen to this. I was like, oh snap. And then as she let me hear it, I was like, this is good. So then I just jumped on board, being who I am. I flew out to Vegas and filmed a video, did a video. And what I need was, see, my daughter. So yeah, she from Atlanta, and she thought she was good, but she didn't understand the industry. In the industry, you need an album put together, video, something to put together. So I had to put the artwork together. And then you need to do a show. So then I reached out to Boosie, because I had a connection with Boosie at the time. And I got on the 2-3 show with Boosie, and I got a studio with Boosie. So that's what I did. So I was putting on the track to have that together, because at the time I had some connections with QC at the time. And what I was going to do is try to put something together and get over there. But at the time she was wanting to do her own thing. She said, I want to ride my own wave. And I was like, okay, go ahead. And she did it. And she was great, but she didn't understand the business and understand, hey, it's connection. Who know who or whatever, and you need to rely on those connections. And if they got connections, use those.
So is she still doing music, or has she took a step back from her music?
She took back a step from the music. She gave it up, and I'm glad she's doing what she's doing now. She's doing that teaching or whatever. So she's great, but she tried it. She stuck her foot in now, but hey, she was great at it. Man, I'm gonna tell you something. Sometimes I was like, wow, but I tell her like, it's who you know is bases and building bases, and she just didn't understand that portion. So of course, you can be the greatest thing, but if you don't build those foundations or work with those people, you'll never make it in there.
Yeah, and those relationships, they really do matter in any industry that you go into.
Anyway.
Having those relationships is cool. So you had a connection through QC. QC is home of the Migos, and they was working with the Migos, Cardi B, and so on and so forth. Now, was this during the time when they had the Migos, or was this prior to the Migos?
This was a test. So what happened was, I was blessed. I just know people. So I knew one of the family members, Coach K, and we got to be real good, and I got to go out and meet up with those guys and see Coach K and how the inner works of was. And at the time, it was a great time, because they had they city girls at the time. And what happened was, one of the city girls had went to jail. So they only had one on there. And I was like, okay, let me build up this buzz and then give it back over here to them. And then they can work with it and see, hey, maybe you could fill in a spot with one of the city girls till she get back. Or if I just thought she would fit in with that crew. So that's why I was working on it. But at the time, there's a lot of pushback from my mom and from her, like, hey, I want to do it this way. Nah, I just, and they had Cardi B over there. They had all of them over there. There was the Migo over there, Lil Baby was just coming on at the time, and Yachty. So they had all the people on the time. So we were going that way, and as you know now, Coach K and P have stepped back, so they're not in with OC no more. So, but that was the goal of my vision. And like I said, trying to get it to her, but you know, kids, nowadays, they new generation, boy, they don't listen to the elders. You can tell them all day, they know more than you. So all right, get it down. You go ahead. You just do it. You do it.
Right, nah, real talk. You definitely, yeah. Some of them, they don't want to listen, man. They'll rather listen to somebody fulfilling the same shit that we telling them, but they ain't gonna get it when it come from us. So I get that 100%. Now, another thing that we have been seeing going on is this big thing with, of course we had Trump elected as president. We had Elon, one of his biggest campaign donors. But recently we seen them two kind of going back and having a sparring match. What did you think about that? Did you ever think that bromance was going to break up?
Well, I think that any group, once you win, and then you got Alpha. One thing about Alpha, and you Alpha, it's hard for you just to be secondary and to be under somebody and then still just be great. One thing about me and Ron, where we got along, and a lot of other groups I ran with, I was always cool with being second. And as you can see, I was an assistant, and I never wanted to be him. So it worked out great. And we don't have any issues. But a lot of people, friends he had, wanted to be on his level. And you can't go to the club and buy the drinks he buy. You can't go out there and do what he do and survive off of that, because your money is just not that long and you're not that strong. So you have to know to play your role. So you play your role, it can't last if you both alphas and you both want to be on charge. So that broke up, and of course, Elon apologized, and man, it was a situation where it only could last for so long. Mm-hmm. But you know, some groups only last so long. Just being too alpha and wanting to do your way, and you got to do their way.
Right. Now, do you think that part of him being upset was that his job as coming in as an independent or third-party auditor was ending? Do you think he wanted to have a little bit more control and say so up there at the White House?
He probably wanted a bit more control and a lot more say so. And then a lot of the bills that he wanted that was in the budget, they weren't there. So I think he wanted more done for those electric vehicles. And when he didn't get that done, he said, oh, hell no, I wanted this. You're supposed to do that for electric vehicle, but it just wasn't there. So I think that was a big part of it. Like, hey, it wasn't there. I lost out. Now I'm pissed.
Right. Yeah, definitely, man. It'd be interesting to see how that relationship continues on later on down the line. Now, you're from Nashville. The Chrisleys are from there. You familiar with the Chrisleys?
I'm familiar with them, yeah.
They're from Nashville as well. They had got some Fed time for, I want to say it was something dealing with dealing with their taxes, not paying taxes or something like that. Trump ended up he gave him a pardon. Do you think that pardon was justified for them, and do you feel as if they shouldn't have got it?
Man, you know what, man, if you in there and you don't ask for nothing, and somebody come back and say, come here and get out, I'm having fun being free, because being locked up is terrible, and nobody will be locked up. So, hey, more power to them. They did the crime, but if you notice, man, a lot of people did a lot of crime around the guy, and man, you let them go. So, hey, if that's what we picked and that's what in charge, he can let everybody go. God damn, you do. There's nothing we can do about it. So, more power to them. They going back and do the same shit again, I guess.
Yeah, because
again.
Yeah, and he also he commuted Larry Hoover's sentence as well, but Larry Hoover still has a state case that he's still fighting that costs so many years. When you heard about the Larry Hoover situation, you've seen a lot of people, Jay Prince, and just people who know about Larry Hoover and what he comes from. They were all happy about that situation, but he's still not home. Do you foresee something happening with the state and Larry Hoover being able to come outside of those gates?
That's one about the federal government. Federal government can take care of their own. They can do whatever they want with the federal government. But when it comes to them states, man, a lot of them governors, man, they not playing like that. They are not willing to budge a little bit. So I don't see a lot of the states, people that's in state, they just can't get the help, or they're not going to be able to get out, because it's a lot technical with them governors in those states. and it take a lot more work. But the federal government, yeah, I'm glad he's out on that side. So hopefully the state do say, hey, you did enough time and come home.
Now, while we were at work, you always kept binders full of just pictures, and you were just documenting, you know, your times that you had while you was assisting with Ron Mercer. So you see the pictures with Patino, the pictures with Calipari, the pictures at all of these different events, all of these different NBA players. What's one of your favorite experiences or favorite times that you have had while you were assisting with Ron?
Well, one of the favorite time was when he had his camp, and we invite all these kids out, and the kids came out and they got to enjoy the camp, meet him. And one time we did a meal for the homeless. That was a great time because we was able to give back. And man, we had food for everybody. Went in there and they ate good, and they was just smile on their face. I was eating with them, and it was some great food. But just give it back. When you're able to give back and see other people smile and those people get in there and get something to eat, that was a great time at that time.
That's what's up right there, man. Now, you recently retired. You said, I'm out, getting out of the civilian world. You retired from the, well, you didn't retire from the military, but you said ETS?
Yeah,
in the
military.
You ETS in the military. What's next for KP?
What's next for me? Just sit back and relax for a minute and see what the grind, what's going on out here, and just take some time out. Cause, you know, as we took our time, we know we got time before we actually retire anyway. So I'm just enjoying the break and just relaxing and probably get back into something. I think real estate, what I'm looking at. I started taking a liking to that and looking into that. So I think my real estate license probably be the next on the go to see what's up with that and try to get involved with that. But man, ain't no telling. I know I can't sit still because I got to find something else to do and I get bored. So it's a lot of stuff out there. Maybe even look at some vehicles, selling vehicles or working in the vehicle industry. But something's coming up probably soon after a while.
Yeah, that's what's up right there, man. Definitely gotta, I know how it is. Yeah. And sitting down, you used to being active, moving around. Sitting down just ain't the thing to do, man. You know what I mean? That idle time, man, is just get you, you know, what they say, idle time is the devil's playground. Yeah. So, hey, definitely wanting to stay active is important. So I understand that 100%. So hopefully you do get into that. You do get into the real estate, and you're able to do your thing. Now it was one more question that I had before you got up out of here. Man, what was that question that I was gonna ask you? You know what? It slipped my mind. Damn,
we'll come back up there.
And it was on the tip of my tongue. But yeah, definitely gotta have you. Definitely got to have you come back on here. Man. You know, we going, you know, this episode, I wanted people to get to know who KP was. Yes. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we had to get that background. But moving forward, we're going to talk about some of these topics that's going on within the industry. I know that you have, that you very opinionated. You got something that you want to say about the things that's going on. So I love to have you back on as a reoccurring guest. We just got to set up that. We definitely got to set up those times, man, and definitely make something happen. Now, anything else that you want to say or anything else that was left out before we get out of here?
Now, that's great right there, man. This is the opening, and we will be back, and love to be out here hanging out with you and your guys, man.
Man, that's what's up. The world that we live in can sometimes give us a distorted view, but here it's all about having a clearer view through conversation. So thank you for tuning in. You now have seen KP through my eyes.
Shine in the future just by hearing these Jews. We changing up the way the culture be receiving this news. We spreading love, it ain't no hating here. And we ain't talking down, we motivating here. And these ain't arguments, we just debating.